out a GT for the Baba Boy, and everybody know we run the country. Lord, we out a GT for the Baba Boy, and now we got the GT money.
Oh, we just rum dance all and we pack party. Kapacha and cracker jack we in a category. And anything we do, the radio station have a play. Cause people in the party just a ball hooray. We from GT and then we love ladies. And them rush we when we come a party. But look, we jump on your mic, we make your party alright. I read them what we are singing, it make you bubble and think.
We out a GT for the Baba Boy,
and everybody know we run the country.
Lord, we out a GT for the Baba Boy, and now we get the GT money. I saw me bound to grow, missy in a pleasant. Since I was a youth, I was a ram dance man. Bound to grow in a Victoria. Your granny say, why you better be a singer? Have a house, missy in a pleasant. Watches have a house of Victoria back dam. Have a mini bus, I walk the city. Watches have a cold man, it ma walk the country. We out a GT, but a Baba Boy, everybody know we run the country.
I can't take it no more. Can't take it no more. Imagine 18 hours of blackout and you're telling people progress. Cost of living gone up 100%, yet you give public servant less. Mr. President, listen to the people. Search your soul and you will confess. I want you try surviving on the public face, then you're gonna know but stress. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up.
And me ask Tyra, what you do there? See Tyra, I some she petticoat, wine like a box. See Tyra, man, oh, see Tyra, man, see Tyra, man, oh, see Tyra, man. One day, baby, na wakana, and me see Tyra, Mandina, and me ask Tyra, what you do there? See Tyra, I saw she very good, but like a box. See Tyra, man, oh, see Tyra, man, see Tyra, man, oh, see Tyra, man, see Tyra, man, oh, see Tyra, man.
All right. Hey, guess what? It's in the afternoon, and I know you guys weren't expecting any sort of program, any sort of thing in the afternoon. I know I see Smart Felix and all the other folks are already on. Even as we speak, there is this cash grant corruption, the cash grant corruption in Berbice, the cash grant corruption. The PPP will continue with that corruption because that is what it is. We're approaching 2025, and as you know, 2025 is supposed to be the elections year. And so as a result of the elections year, guess what? They are going to be rushing in with all sort of cash grants. You name it, cash grants. That's what they're doing. All right, so for those of you, I know we caught you guys off guard, but for those of you who are now joining us, share the link and let your friends know that we are on. And we're going to talk about the diversity visa, but we also want to talk about a little bit of politics and what's happening in Guyana, what the PPPC is doing to the country, to destroy the country. Beatrice Selby, how are you doing? Rhonda Chance, how are you? I don't know, we've asked our executive producer to get in touch with Wayne Caesar. Somebody said that they saw Wayne Caesar somewhere in Queens yesterday buying Polari. But while he was in Queens buying Polari, I don't know, there seemed to be a video. Hi, Wayne, how are you? There seemed to be a video of someone out there in front of civils saying that if folks in Queens and maybe other places, if they do not go out and vote, for the Republicans, the PPP will be removed from office. Either way, whether people vote for the Republicans or not, the PPP is going. Wayne, good day, how are you? Did you see that video?
Yes, Mark, I saw the video circulating. Yes, somebody sent it over to me. I saw it.
And it's ridiculous. But these folks, these PPP guys are desperate. They are desperate. Are you
Well,
beginning to sense their desperation?
well, Mark, let me be frank here. I don't think it is just the PPPC that is desperate. I think also in the United States here, it appears as if the Republican Party is very, very desperate also. Boards of affairs will flock together. The PPP understands that their only chance to rig the 2025 elections is with a Republican government in place here in the U.S.
Yeah, go ahead, continue. I was looking for
So
that.
they're doing their best when it comes to bidding. They're bidding to the New York people to vote for Republicans. But we know, Mark, that New York State has always been carried by the Democrats, and that is not going to change no time in the near future.
No, but the desperation, the desperation is kicking in as we speak right now. Guess what? As we speak right now, the PPP, they're out in Berbice distributing cash grants again. We got messages from individuals who are talking about this cash grant situation. And maybe I should get in touch with one of the Bernicians to, sorry about that, guys, to talk about what's happening with the cash grant and the corruption on the part of the PPPC. I'm trying to get in touch with someone out there in Berbice to talk a little bit, to let us know what is happening there with the cash grants. So we just want to bring it to the attention of our listeners that the cash grants, they're back again with the cash grants. They're dealing in Berbice now, and then they're going to go Essequibo next, and then they're going to go Monrepo and other places. What is your take on this sudden cash grant situation?
Well, listen, Mark, this was expected, right? This was expected. Elections is upon us, right? And we knew we've already done our analysis on this and know that the PPPC would have been giving out cash grants and stuff to kind of encourage the Guyanese people to vote PPPC. But let me be clear here. $100,000 cash grant is nothing. It's a mere drop in the pan. Okay, if we had done things right when it came to the budget in Guyana, and we had created the proper fiscal space, okay, needed to give the Guyanese people, a proper cash grant. Every household or every adult, not household, Mark, every adult for the holidays should have been able to receive, about $100,000.
I noticed, thank you. I noticed Doreen Clark is saying, what about cash grant for Region 4? The truth of the matter is it's going to be certain parts of Region 4, but they just do not care about people. That's a fact. And so this cash grant is being used as a political tool. That is what it is, a political tool. Your money, your hard-earned money is being spent on campaigning for the PPP. That is what it's about. Now, folks, grab the money, take the money. I mean, they're coming to give you $100,000 or $50,000 or whatever. It's not their money. It's your money they're giving you. They're trying to buy you over. They're trying to soften your heart with all of the corruption that's happening. Wayne, that is exactly what's happening here.
Mark, I want to quickly correct myself. I just say for the Christmas holidays, $100,000. Let me correct myself. We're making $7.9 million, 7.9 million US per day. Okay.
That was the first half of this year. It's probably more.
Right. It could have went up, Mark, but I'm gonna just use what the numbers were early in the year. And I'm gonna say that every adult in Guyana should have been able to receive $500,000 for the holiday. I got that wrong when I said 100,000. $500,000. I did my own calculations. Every adult.
But they're not going to do that. They're not going to give $500,000 to anybody because they're of the view that the people don't worth anything, and that's the PPP's view. And so they go into these areas as a form of distraction. to rush to give out. And they feel when they go into these areas, they feel as though it's their money they're giving the people. It's taxpayers' money, as some of our viewers are saying. It's basically Beatrice Selby saying they are bribing the people again. That is what it's about. Bribery. The PPP cannot govern on anything else other than corruption, bribery, and spilling blood throughout the country. That's how they govern. So on the issue of one of the things, we just wanted to get that over with as well. Quite a few folks have been talking about diversity visa and what that is about. And I know you've mentioned to me that a couple of people have called you looking for me about that. Let me just say, go ahead.
Yeah, Mark, I think what the people are looking for, they want a good explanation of the meaning of the diversity visa and the diversity visa application. They want you to break it down for them in context.
Yeah, so briefly, the diversity visa, for those who are outside of the US, if they don't have a pending petition, meaning if somebody filed for you and the application is pending, it's wise that you do not file for a diversity visa. A diversity visa is someone who is in Guyana, wherever they are, and they want to try a thing, to give it a shot. Here is your opportunity to give it a shot. And it started already and it ends on November 5th. It's very simple. You go on the website. It's the electronic diversity visa program. You go on the website, you follow the instructions, and you upload a photograph, a passport size photo, a proper passport size photo. And if you are married, then you enter your husband's name or your wife's name. And if you get through, then automatically your spouse get through as well. It's a long shot, but people have gotten through with this. The process lasts it's less than 5 minutes. You can do it yourself. So don't let anybody tell you that they got to charge your arm and a leg or whatever. It's something that you can do yourself.
But Mark, may I ask you, do you provide these services, so diversity visa?
Last year, we did help a lot of folks out. As Doreen Clark is saying, it's a lottery. So you take a chance. But the process is very easy. Of course, you have to have a high school diploma. And that's just one of the basic requirements. And you just go right ahead. You click right now, for those who might be interested, and they're in Guyana, wherever you are, you click on diversity visa for 2026, and you just get the ball rolling. It's something that you can do by yourself, and don't let anybody charge your arm and a leg. Those who may have questions, though, feel free to give me a call maybe after this program or later on 917-714-1082. The process is very easy. And just be prepared for it. It's a shot. You're just getting a shot of the diversity visa lottery. So I hope that answers your question, and for folks who have been calling you, Wayne, about that as well.
I do have a follow-up, Mark. Let's say to the extent you have filed a diversity visa application and you would have gotten through, and you enter the United States of America, how long can you stay?
No, it's that. The diversity visa is basically, it's to get your green card. That is what it is, to get your green card.
Okay.
So once you are approved, then you go into the local embassy in Georgetown, the U.S. Embassy, and then they will process your immigrant visa application. So once you get through and you go through the other set of process in providing whatever documents to the U.S. Embassy, and you are finally approved, then you leave Guyana and you come to the U.S. and you are granted a green card. That is what it's about. And so,
So Mark, with that being said, there are so many young people in Guyana who would have graduated from the University of Guyana and cannot find a job. There's a lot of young people also who would have passed 10, 12, 15 CXCs and cannot find a job in Guyana. I'm sure you would encourage them to enter this lottery.
Well, 1 minute. It's, of course, people, I can only talk about what the process is. It's up to them to decide whether they want to make that move. But 300 students recently graduated from UG, and there's no job. There's absolutely nothing. So it's up to the folks to decide whether they want to enter into the lottery process. I notice Marlene is saying that a grandchild is entitled. They're talking, it's a family base. So once the husband gets through, automatically the family falls under that. And if you're over the age of 21, you can file on your own. So those students who have graduated from the university can file on their own. It's a process. I noticed Doreen is saying that somebody charges $197 to assist, $197. I think the U.S. Embassy spoke recently about it. The process is very, very straightforward. It's not more than 5 minutes, and people can do it on their own. They just have to type in the diversity visa program, and it's self-explanatory. And like I've said, if there's anybody who needs help, they can feel free to call me, and I can just guide them as to where to find the application. It ends next month. On the 5th of next month. It ends next month. I noticed Beatrice is saying, Mark, for example, my kids could apply even though I filed for them. It's advised that, it's just my opinion, that if you have a pending application in the system, then probably if I had a pending application in the system, I would not have gone the diversity visa route.
Yeah, that's typically correct, Mark. If you already have a pending application, it's not advised that you.
Yeah. But it's up to an individual to make the final decision. But if you have a pending petition in the system, just allow that petition to make its way through. Someone can have a visitor's visa and they file as well, but according to what the law says, it doesn't affect. But some people basically prefer not to take that chance. It's up to you. If you have no petition, if you have no visitor's visa and you want to give it a shot, you're right now sitting at Philippines, Backdam or Anis, Backdam or somewhere in Georgetown or Linden, wherever, and you want to give the visa lottery a shot, go right ahead, give it a shot. That's what it's about, giving it a shot.
Mark, may I ask a question? Once you've filled out your application and everything, the application is done, what other information do you need to have?
It's simple. A high school diploma or above, and you submit your passport photograph and the basic information about yourself, your date of birth, whether you're married, the name of your spouse, whether you have children, the name of your children, the date of birth. So that's why if you as a husband get through, and you have your wife, of course, and you have kids under the age of 21, it's a family-based petition, green card lottery. That's what it is.
So what about if the wife gets through? What happens in that case?
Either the wife or the husband. It doesn't matter.
Okay, great.
And you cannot submit more than one application. One application and that's it. If you submit more than one application, you're going to be disqualified. So just be careful. Just be extra careful, guys. It's pretty simple.
So you're saying either husband or wife, not both?
No, both of them should.
Okay.
And there are some questions with regards to the citizenship application. It's still an elections year, of course, over here in the US. And the N400, the citizenship application process, is being done in a very expeditious manner in most circumstances. Of course, like everything else, there's a process. It takes time. Sometimes these officers who are overseeing the cases of applicants, they have a heck of a lot of work to do. And some people may run out of patience. Hey, what's going on with the application? And those sort of things. People need to remain patient. And once the application is in the system, that is a good thing. Once it's in the system, it simply means that USCIS authority, they're working on it. Some folks with I-130 application process, some get through very quickly, some still have to wait. It's a process, especially if it's a marriage application as well, that the USCIS, they want to ensure that it's a bona fide marriage. And so this is not a process where you rush to get these applications in, or someone should lose patience and call, oh, where's the application? It's not in, it's not, people sometimes tend to want to rush things to get it done within 48 hours. But especially with marriage petition, there's evidence that you have to submit in order to convince the USCIS, the immigration authority, that this is a bona fide marriage.
I have a question for you on that. Mark, when it comes to marriages, because what I think what our audience need to understand with marriages is that you have to be very careful, because you can get disqualified. And Mark, I want you to just give a breakdown of what type of documentation you would need to present for proof of marriage, proof that you're living with that person.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So that's correct. It's not like what it used to be before, because the marriage application, like I said, it's a very serious for USCIS officers. They review everything. They want to make sure that it's a bona fide marriage. They want to see that you guys are living together, or even though you might not be living together, they want to see maybe more evidence that this is not a fake marriage. And sometimes people may lose patience. It's all about being patient, right? Doing these applications, it's not done in a rush, because one or two little error can cost you. I have seen individuals who applied and then they were denied for basic things. Of course, not through me. They haven't been denied through me, but they come to me with these cases to fix it, because I like to say that I'm the immigration mechanic. I like to fix cases, and fixing cases is not an overnight thing. You sometimes got to do diligent work and ensure that the proper evidence is submitted. And in this case, you've asked questions, some of the evidence needed.
Yes. Yes.
A marriage certificate, of course. You have to have evidence that y'all are man and wife. If there's a joint bank account, if you're on spouse insurance, and all these things. The more evidence you have to present that your marriage is bona fide, the possibility of your case being adjudicated in a very timely manner, expeditious manner, is because I've had a marriage application petitioner been approved in less or almost 4 months after their application go in. And so it depends on the evidence. It depends on who is the officer overseeing your case. These sort of things. And I say this to the clients that, patience and give me the evidence, give me bona fide evidence to build a strong case for you. And we build that case. And so one particular person got through in about 4 months. Within 4 months, they got their green card. And they didn't have to go through an interview. Sometimes, based on the evidence, the officers can waive the interview process. And that's the biggest headache that is taken off of somebody's head, is when the application process, when the interview is waived. Because once the interview is waived, they will send you the green card. It's a conditional green card. It also based on the length of time that you've married. Like a client last week just got their green card. They've been married a short space of time, but their interview process was waived. And I say that that's the biggest burden that is removed from a client when your interview process is waived, because the interview process can be so tedious. They ask all sorts of questions just to see and to ensure that it's a bona fide marriage. to see whether you know the color of your bedroom, the color or what your husband likes or what your wife like or whatever. These are questions that they ask to see whether it's bona fide. A client from Jamaica, called for me to fix an immigration matter. They got denied for the time being. They got denied because the immigration authority went all the way back to when he applied for his U.S. visitor's visa. On the visitor's visa, he put that he was married in Jamaica. Yet he came over here and got married. So the immigration officers asked, what happened with your wife in Jamaica? He said, no. I was never married in Jamaica. This is my first marriage. Immigration authority said, no, on that application, you put that you were married. We cannot grant you this green card until you prove to us that you're not married. So of course they made contact with me, and to me, I think it's a case, of course, you got to get a no, it's called a no impediment to prove that there is no marriage. But he explained to the authority that, look, in Jamaica, and we know like in Guyana, once you're married, you just say, man, I'm a wife that, I'm a wifey that. And so folks have to be very careful with what they put on even their visitor's visa, because it may come back to haunt you. The people do a thorough check to see what's on that application, especially if it's a marriage application, a petition that you have. They will go back to see whether you put that you were married or whatever, and it will pop up on the day that you have to be questioned. Guyanese did the same. They panicked. They were denied, pending. They gave an explanation that in Guyana there's common law, marriage, and so forth, and then you put wife. So the point that I'm making is, on any application that you put in, whether it's your visitor's visa, if you are not married, do not put that you are married. If you are living home and you have a common law relationship, it is a common law relationship. You are not married. Because if you put that you're married and it turns out that you're not, it can hurt you. So be very, very careful, guys, with that, what you put on the application.
So because Mark, sometimes in filling out these applications, sometimes they can be a bit ambiguous, they can be a bit complex. Would you not say that, folks should reach out to someone with your experience and have them do the application for them, instead of filling it out by themselves and then having these minor errors and all these kind of things that can hold up the process, delay the process?
A good question. I think folks have a right, if they want to give it a shot, if they feel that they can do it, well, it's fair play. Sometimes they go to a lawyer, and even lawyers mess them up. And so there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I'm not saying, but they should seek advice from competent individuals if they have an issue. There's nothing wrong with seeking advice or to have somebody to fill their application out for them. Because one slight mistake, they can reject the application. Even if you send them $5 or $1 less than what you're supposed to send, they will reject the application. If you miss one question or two questions out, they may reject the application. And the good thing is, most cases they refund you, they send your money back. Before they place it in the system, they reject it, but they send everything back. And that's the fortunate thing. But folks have to be patient. Some questions have been asked about citizenship. Persons have a criminal record. I know of individuals with 5, 6, 7, 8 charges. That doesn't prevent them, depending on the nature of the charges, it doesn't prevent them from getting their citizenship. In fact, I have a client with about maybe close to 10 charges, a couple of small convictions, arrest and so forth. And that person is about to be sworn in for his citizenship. And so on the question of whether you've ever been arrested, you cannot lie. You've got to say yes, and you've got to explain. If you've been arrested for jumping the turnstile, you've got to say, because they know almost everything. The other thing with the citizenship application, sorry, Wayne, the other thing with the citizenship application is if you spend more than 165 days, I believe, 165 days outside of the US, it will be a difficult task for you, not impossible, but difficult for you to be granted citizenship, because it shows that you have spent a lot of time out of the US and you're not really serious about your green card. So be very careful when you're filing for your citizenship. Ensure that you have not spent 160 days or 165, somewhere along that line, out of the country. The least time you spend out of the country, the faster the process. And for folks who have child support issues, I've had a client with child support issues. All they need is a record, a court record or documents showing that you're paying your child support. So the people, they're getting a little strict, but it doesn't mean that you should be afraid of filing for your citizenship. If you're married to a US citizen, or if you're married and you got your green card, you can file for your citizenship way before 5 years. And I just, earlier today, I called a client to say he has been here having some issues with his green card situation. And I said to him, worry no longer. Your citizenship application, you're entitled to citizenship, and your application has been accepted. So it's just a matter of time for his interview process. And I say this because a lot of people don't know. Sometimes they are citizens and they don't know, or they can apply for citizenship and they just don't know. They just need that little form of guidance.
Mark, I have another question for you. To the extent one has a criminal record, or even a record with a misdemeanor or two on it, or even child support, would you advise that person to get some measure of representation? Because I feel it would be very difficult for somebody who have any of the three things that I would have just, any of the three issues that I would have just mentioned, to just fill out the application and just go in just like that.
Well, it is always good for, in the case when I, in my immigration law studies, it says that there are ways that you can overcome those sort of things. And the ways that you can overcome it is by going down to the court to have a printout to show the status of the case, that it has been a disposition, you have that and you present it and you say, this is the outcome of the case. So it doesn't matter how many times you've been charged. It depends on the nature of the charge. You can't go there with murder and all these different things. Now, that is when it becomes iffy. If you get a couple marijuana conviction, jumping the turnstile or misdemeanor stuff, and you've been convicted or arrested and so forth, that's no way that you should be afraid. What the immigration authority, what they're looking for, that's why on the application they have these questions. Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever been convicted? Have you ever been on probation? You have to be honest. And I've had clients who have had several charges, 10, 15 arrests and all these things, and they are citizens today. Do not allow any sort of arrest or small convictions or whatever to prevent you from wanting to apply for your citizenship.
I do have another question, Mark. This is in relation to adjustment of status, to the extent one would have filed for the children back home in Guyana, and at the time of the filing, the person was a permanent resident. But since their status would have changed to a citizen of the United States, how do you go about getting an adjustment of status? Is that a new application that needs to be filled out? Is there a fee that comes with that application? and what is the typical fee that an experienced preparer would charge on that? Just, I don't know if you know it, but I just throw that out there for you.
Yeah, I noticed that Lauren is asking about a felony. They get different categories of felony. Aggravated felony. An aggravated felony is very serious. And that is where it gets technical. But an ordinary felony doesn't prevent someone from getting their citizenship. Aggravated felony, sexual assault and those sort of things, that is when you're talking a different story. It's going to be an uphill battle for these sorts of things. And so, good question, Lorraine. Before I get to your question as it pertains to what you've just mentioned there, is the other thing that you have to be careful. If you are a green card holder, if you have a green card, please do not register to vote. Please do not attempt to vote, because it can bar you permanently from ever becoming a citizen, and you may face deportation as well. So you've got to be extra careful. Don't let anyone encourage you to register to vote or attempt to vote, even with a green card. Do not do it. Wait until you become a citizen, then you can register to vote. Because if you vote while you have a green card, it's in the system and you cannot beat USCIS. If you beat USCIS, it means you slipped through the crack. But who would want to take that chance? Do not vote if you have a green card. Wait until you become a citizen. With regards to your question, if someone applies for a child back in Guyana, because there are different categories. If you apply for your child in Guyana, and that child or children, if they're under the age of 21 with a green card, it is not an automatic. What I mean by automatic, because based on the category, the green card petitioner, they do not have first preference. And so the beneficiaries have to wait their turn. And that could take a couple of years. It could take 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, it all depends. But if you are a US citizen and you're applying for a child or children under the age of 21, then based on the category, they're placed in the front of the line. You as a US citizen, they now have priority. A visa is almost readily available for them. And so once that happens, you have to, you file while you were the holder of a green card. Now you're a citizen. You have to say to USCIS, hey, wait a minute, guys. Yeah, I'm now a US citizen. Once you do that, automatically your underage children, 21, they fall in a different category. They fall in the category of priority. A visa is almost readily available for them. All you need to do is to go through the process. Now, inform USCIS that you're now a US citizen and you would like to upgrade this application.
How do I do that? How do they do that, Mark?
To you basically have to notify them. Okay. Notify USCIS. There's an easy way to notify it. If somebody needs any sort of question with that, feel free to make contact with me. I noticed, Wayne, that Marlene is asking a question, saying that I should answer her question. Okay, this is her question. If you have spent more than 6 months on a visitor's visa, will it affect your resident visa sponsorship? It depends. And here why it depends. A visitor's visa is basically to visit, not to live. And if they see that you spend 6 months now and then you go back to Guyana and spend a month, and then you come back here and spend another 6 months and you go, it will more likely affect you. It could affect you when you're returning to the US on that same visitor's visa. The immigration officer, the border patrol officer may say, hey, wait a minute, you're spending more time in the US now. You're not acting like a visitor. You're acting as though you live here more than you live in Guyana. And as a result of that, they have the authority to refuse you entry into the US. So be careful of the time you spend in the US. The Border Patrol agents have all authority to do exactly that, to send you back to wherever you're from. So be careful with the time you spend in the US, even with a visitor's visa, because they may assume that you're working and all these sort of things, and you don't want them to have that assumption about you. So on a visitor's visa, be very careful as to how much time you spend with that. Now,
Mark,
the question with the sponsorship, no, it cannot affect your visa sponsorship. However, as long as you do not violate U.S. immigration laws, as long as you do not violate immigration law, then it wouldn't affect your resident visa sponsorship.
Mark, what about let's say the individual is not sponsoring children that is under the age of 21, but adult age children, right? And they just move for an adjustment of status from permanent resident to citizen. Where does that put them with the adult age children?
Well, there's no such thing, the adjustment of status. It's different. Now, if you move from, of course, it can be seen as that, but if you move from a green card to a citizenship and your kids are over the age of 21, well, you file for them and you were a green card holder, they should not get married until they should not get married until they get through. Now,
what if they're married?
U.S. citizen, during that petition process, it doesn't do anything to speed the process up because the kids are already over 21. They're adults now. And adults take longer. So take, for example, if Marlene Thomas has a child back in Guyana named Mark or Wayne or Kadaki or Rickford, right? Or Norman or Hollingsworth or Otto. Those are the kids with, and they are hard back. They're grown men. The process, regardless of whether she's a citizen or not, the process will take a long time. And they go as far as 7, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. I know people who have been waiting 15 years, even though their parents are US citizens, but because they're grown-ups now. And now the tricky thing in this here now is if, for example, Yudelka Garcia is sponsoring, she's a US citizen and she's sponsoring her parents back in Guyana, then because it's a different category, the parents now have priority. The parents application will go in the front of the line. But if Yudelka is petitioning for her grown children over the age of 21, 30, and so forth, it's going to take a long time. That's what a lot of people don't understand, the different category of filing. Now, take, for example, someone overstays their visa, their visitor's visa. They overstay their visitor's visa in the US. Then USCIS no longer say illegal. They no longer use that term illegal. They say out of status. Mm-hmm. And so if you become out of status and you're trying to correct that, there are certain options you may have. If you have a child in the US that's over the age of 21 and is a US citizen, that child can file for his or her parent or sibling or siblings under the age of 21. Once you file for that child or your parents, sorry, not just parents, or even parents, or you decide now and you married, say for example, Marlene Thomas gets married to Norman Brown. And Norman Brown came to the US on a visitor's visa and he overstays his time. And Marlene Thomas or Beatrice Selby or Yudika decided to take a chance, a big risk in marrying Norman Brown. There's a big risk. If Norman is illegal in the US, once Marlene marries him, she is a US citizen, she marries him, immediately he can file for adjustment of status. Immediately. And when you file for the adjustment of status, it is simply you're saying to USCIS that you are in the US, you have overstayed your time, you came legally, and therefore the application now, the I-485 to adjust your status, you send that in along with the I-130 application, and you can have your applications approved in a very short space of time. I've said that I have a client, and I'm still smiling because I myself was surprised that within 4 months, my clients got through. Within 4 months, they got through with their green card without an interview. And that's a good experience. Not all cases are like that. Some take 7, 8 months, 9 months. But the actual waiting time is about 15 to 16 months. But most of my clients have gotten through at a reasonable space of time with these sort of applications. And so when you file the I-485, which is the adjustment of status, it is advisable that you also file the work authorization, the I-765, which means that during the application process, they will approve your work authorization. So they give you a chance to work pending the outcome of the applications. So that process now, it's for some folks, it could be a bit complicated because in order to file for an adjustment of status, you have to have a petition that's in. You cannot have, let's say, for example, who can we use? Let's say, for example, someone in Guyana comes up and they are here and they got married to somebody who is the holder of a green card. Once you get married to someone who is a green card holder, you cannot file for adjustment of status. You've got to wait your turn. You got to wait years. If you marry to a US citizen, almost immediately, you can file your I-130 petition. You can do it simultaneously and apply for of status. With a marriage, all they ask is that the marriage must be bona fide. And sometimes at the interview, I have a client who went in and they asked the husband and wife, when was the first time they became intimate? Now, these are questions they ask. Sometimes they throw a curveball to see your reaction. And now that's a genuine marriage. However, they want to know. So I say to my clients, you've got to be prepared for some questions. You've got to be prepared for some curveball. My job is to prepare the applications for you. Your job is to ensure that your marriage is bona fide. That's not my job. When you go in for that interview, you have to let them see that you have a real marriage. That you have a real marriage. You live together. Sometimes you don't necessarily live together, but you have that evidence that this is a bona fide marriage. Somebody's asking here, Mark, is there something like adult adoption? The adoption, there's no such thing as adult adoption. Unless you want to adopt either Wayne, me, or Dr. Caesar, or something. Charlie and Jordan, there's no such thing as adult adoption. The adult process, the adoption process, I think there's a cutoff age of, I think it's either 18 or something like that. Anything over that, oh man, what you want to adopt adult? No, you can't adopt an adult. You just cannot adopt an adult.
Mark, I wanted to jump back quickly to the diversity application. Does that application carry a fee? And if you have it handy, how much is that fee? I think we may have lost Mark there. Hope he comes back in. But yeah,
Yeah,
we're
sorry about that.
embarking.
I just took a call.
Okay.
There is no, and I repeat, there is no fee, none
Okay.
whatsoever. The process takes like less than 5 minutes. There's no fee.
Okay.
Now, you can do it yourself. People can do it themselves. But of course, if they call up a specialist, if they call up a lawyer's office or whatever, don't be surprised if the lawyer wants to charge you for his or her time. But I am saying it is something that you can do on your own. If you have a question about that, feel free to call me and I'll guide you the right path. There wouldn't be any charge. There's no charge. There's no application fees for the diversity visa. Don't let anybody tell you that there's an application fee. I see some troublemakers come in the group right now on here, and John and all of them just come. Problems start right away. So Charlene, Jordan, there's no application for grown-ups like Wayne and I and others. There's no application. They have another thing here also that's called a VAWA. If you're married to someone, whether a green card holder or a citizen, and that person is not filing for you, you can petition for yourself. You can petition for yourself. If your wife is beating you up, you can file as an abused husband. Or if your husband is beating you up or trying to use the immigration process to basically threaten you, you can file. Your spouse doesn't have to file for you. You can file on your own. It is called self-petition. But you just can't just pick up and file just like that. You have to have some evidence to say, well, look, this is what's happening in the marriage, and my husband or my wife is using this against me, and therefore I'm petitioning for myself. I have a bona fide marriage, and so forth and so on. And I have several clients who have self-petitioned, and some of those applications are pending. You can also petition as an abused child. If you feel that your parents are abusing you and you're up here on a visitor's visa or whatever, you can also file for what is called a VAWA, that you are being abused physically, whatever. And those are things that can happen. That's why it's called VAWA, self-petition. But you just have to have the evidence. You just can't pick up an application and decide that you want to file just like that. And so what we do here at Benshop Immigration Consultancy is we take our time with your applications. Some people like to rush the brush, as we say in Guyana. When you rush the brush, that's when mistakes are likely to occur.
Mark, another question Ms. Thomas have here. Can I adopt my grandchild who is 8 years old?
Ms. Thomas has used up all of her free question time. You get 3 free questions. She's entering the 5th free questions here now. So now let's get to Ms. Thomas. As you guys know, adoption has ceased in Guyana. They haven't had the adoption process for several years now. They need to restart it. I heard that last week they said that within a week they will resolve that issue. There are lots of people who want to adopt, not adopt adults, not adopt adults. One time I was somewhere there on Orange Walk, they call it Bamba Mali, and a couple of people from the US came in to adopt a couple of us there, senior citizens. You cannot adopt adults, guys. But it's a fair question, though. The young lady or the person who asked that question, it's a fair question, Charlene. Don't get me wrong. So back to Marlene and her question. Can she adopt her grandchild, 8 years old? when the adoption law gets back into effect in Guyana, yes, you can adopt your grandchild. You have to have evidence that there is a connection between you and your grandchild. They are going to change the laws up. I don't know what will be the new law requirement. Sorry, I just don't know. But you have to show that there's a relationship between you and that grandchild. And so for those who have guardianship of individuals back home, very soon, hopefully, and the PPP regime needs to start acting immediately as it pertains to adoptions. Somebody's asking, Yanati Lias, I don't know, but can't adults in diapers, you can't adopt them. Thank you. She's showing shades at you, Wayne. So Yadeke say, Mark, what if the person married to a citizen and they have a visitor's visa and came, but the husband isn't filing? What can the person do? The person can self-petition.
Mm-hmm.
Self-petition, it is called the VAWA petition. They can petition for themselves. Again, you got to get some, not a heck of a lot of evidence, but you have to have a good reason why you're self-petitioning, why you want to petition for yourself. And once you have a plausible reason and they see that maybe the other half is holding you at ransom or whatever, or humbugging you from moving forward, because when you guys got married, he promised you the world or she promised you the world, and now she's not delivering that or he's not delivering that. And so you want to move on with maybe your career or something. And in your application, you would say that this is what my husband promised me, that when we're married, we will live as a family, he will file for me, but now he just has me up and down, or she has me up and down with just a visitor's visa. I'd like to correct that. So yes, you can. And we have Miss Roxanne Best. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Roxanne said, VAWA.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying that with a straight face too. VAWA. That's correct. It's called Violence Against Women Act. But not because it says violence against women that men can't apply. Men use that very violence against women. Maybe at some point in time they'll change it, because a lot of men, I have quite a few clients who are male, and they have filed a VAWA. It's a self-petition. And again, I say the process, Guyanese, they like to run out of patience. What's going on? You send the thing in, what is? They have to exercise patience, because it's not an overnight thing, and applications are different. Yadelka's situation might be different from Charlene, or it might be different from Marlene. It might be different from Anne. It might be different from Roxanne. It might be different from those who are listening. And so when you try to compare your case with another person's case, how come this person got through faster? And it doesn't operate like that. It's based on the evidence that you present. It's based on who is overseeing your case, who is the officer that is overseeing your case. Sometimes that officer may put your case down and gone on vacation or whatever. So you just don't know. So you can't say to somebody, how come this person got through? And I'm telling you my experience with my clients. Some have gotten through within 4 months, a green card, without an interview process. Some have waited 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, and so forth. But the bulk of them are success stories. And like I said earlier, when you do not go through an interview, it simply means that that's a big burden that is shifted off of people's chests, because the interview can be tedious. It makes you nervous. And I don't want anybody to go through that process, but it's not in my hands as to whether you go to that interview or not. It is to the discretion of the USCIS officers, whether they want an interview or not.
Mark, I would like to have you one afternoon on my program so that you can, discuss like USCIS interviewing etiquette, just to help out people who would be going for these interviews, get them prepared, get them in the right frame of mind.
Yeah. So one of the things here, Wayne, Charlene again is saying, Mark, the reason that I ask is because a 30-plus-year-old woman from Guyana claimed that she was adopted by a U.S. couple. I just wanted to hear your take. Now, she can be 30-plus and was adopted and claimed that she was adopted. But at what age was she adopted? There's a cutoff period for adoption. And she cannot be 30-plus years old and was adopted when she was that age. Adoption in Guyana was discontinued over 5 years now. So a lot of those applications, adoption applications, were placed in limbo. And a lot of folks, instead of getting their adoption documents or approval, they had to go the route of guardianship. Again, the regime is about to change that, hopefully soon, that adoption will restart in Guyana. And the cutoff age for adoption, I believe it's 18. You cannot be over that age. Anybody who has been adopted at the age of 30, please pray for them. I don't know how that is possible. Not in Guyana, not even here in the US. So I don't know. Roxanne, have you heard of an adoption of an adult? If so, Wayne is up for adoption. Anything else before we go quickly? And again, those for the citizenship, don't be reluctant. If you're married to whether it's a U.S. citizen or whatever, and you have your green card for 2+ years or going on 3 years, you could start your citizenship application. If you have been arrested, if you punch someone in the mouth, if you knock a little ganja, if you jump the turnstile and you've been arrested, all they ask for is the truth. That's all. Don't go into that interview hiding anything, because the people know. For the most part, they already know what is there. When it comes to the time you spend out of the country, if you spend 1,000 days out of the country and then going and apply now, or you spend 500 days and then you want to go and apply for your citizenship, just be cautious. Be cautious about that, because you might very well be wasting that $760. Or is it $760? Yeah. Because when you go for an interview, the people get 2 big computer screens sitting right there. And they have, for the most part, they have all of your information right there. They know how many times you've left the country. They know how long you've spent out of the US. They know when you came back. They know almost everything about you. So do not lie on your interview. It can cost you. Tell them the truth. If it's an honest mistake, tell them it's an honest mistake. Tell them that when you fill out your visitor's visa application and you were living home with some man you thought you just put because of common law, offer a proper explanation. Or you living home with some woman, offer a proper explanation. And it's up to them to use their discretion. One of the things that I'll advise you guys, do not lie on your application. Do not lie to the interviewing officer, whether it's for citizenship or whether it's for your green card or whatever. Do not lie. And the other thing I say to people, do not rush. Do not rush the brush. So if an application is being looked at, allow the process to be. I said to a client, I said, if you spent 10 years in the US and you're illegal, calm down. 1 week more, a few days more wouldn't hurt you. Oh, Mark, you done the application? Mark, you done the application? It takes time. You haven't sent further evidence. We need evidence. Let's not rush the brush. Just do not do it. Folks, like, for example, they have a guy who has been living in the US illegally for quite some time. And he came, not the regular route, came backtrack, so to speak. Under those circumstances, President Biden passed a law that allows person, once you're married and you've been in the US for 10 years, well, that individual, his application many years ago, according to him, and his lawyer and all, people, especially big Guyanese, oh, the lawyer didn't do this thing right. This body didn't do this thing right. They don't sit and they always, this body in right, the body in right, you know. And so I said to him that there is a way out for you, because when somebody calls me, I like to give them hope. I like to let them know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's why I say I like to consider myself an immigration mechanic. I like to fix. I would go and I would ensure that it's the right track. I would take a couple of days before I get back and say, look, this can be fixed. As mentioned earlier, a guy had a big problem with his green card being suspended or renewed. And he never knew that there was another route that he can go. And so my job is to say there's always another route. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Do not give up. Some people lose patience. Do not give up. I take my time with your application. Do not give up, guys. It's not an overnight thing. Ask and present the evidence. You present it, and even if I have to go over your application 5 times with you to get it right, I prefer to do that than for you to have a rejection. Thus far, there has been absolutely no denial of I-130 or 485 or whatever. Has not been a denial with those applications. But if you spend 500 days out or 1,000 days and you take a chance and go in, of course you stand a chance of not getting through. But I take my time and I fix your problems. Even when lawyers say, no, there's no way out for you, I find a legal way out for you. As is the case with that one guy who spent so many years. And he cannot get his green card. There is a fix. Here's the fix. And I'm waiting for that outcome. Here's the fix. He can remedy that because his daughter, who's a US citizen, over the age of 21, joined the military, joined the US military. And she can petition for him now. And with that, guess what? He's almost certain of getting an approval. So there's always a way out. And it's always got to be the right way, the legal way. Follow the legal way, be patient, and you will get the results that you're looking for.
You know, Mark, I got a question for you, and I think this is an important one. Given the fact that there is going to be an election here in the US next month, right? And just want to play devil's advocate. Let's say that the Republicans win the election. There can be a quick change in immigration rules and regulations. I would like to know your take on, if you would encourage individuals to get in their applications before the election, because I don't think they'll be able to change anything that is already in.
Politicians do this. They like to rile people up, especially about immigration and immigration reform and all these sort of things. It's always best to secure yourself. If you are not a citizen, you're a holder of a green card, it is best that you apply as long as you meet all of the requirements. Apply for your citizenship. And now, usually in an elections year, it is the best time to apply for your citizenship. They have processed thousands upon thousands of applications over the past 6 months. Your application may very well be next. Sometimes the folks' applications out there, if you need to file your application, you may be one of those individuals. But I've noticed Marlene said that she did her interview and it was the very day. And that is how it works. File for your citizenship now. Any one of you out there might just be lucky enough to get your citizenship before the end of the year. And it can save you a lot of headaches from being deported and all manner of different things. So file it, even if you may have a minor charge, even if you have 10 charges, just file for your citizenship now.
Mark, there's a few people. There's a few people that is requesting
Yeah.
the phone number for bench cop on immigration consultancy.
917-714-1082. 917-714-1082. So there was a question. I saw a question before we go. Simone Greaves. Sorry about that. Simone, hi, how are you? Simone is saying, Mark, if a person came here at 16 and her mom filed for her, but something went wrong, but eventually her mom refiled through numerous lawyers who pretty much robbed her, she's now in her 40s, no green card, what can she do? Well, in my opinion, all those lawyers and everybody robbing, and there is not much that can be done, because it's probably a little bit too late. I don't know the circumstances under which, quote unquote, lawyers rob in this situation. I don't know, and I prefer not to, but I doubt. Because a lot of, I'm not saying that your story is inaccurate, ma'am, but a lot of people feel that because Wayne is a lawyer, or assuming that Wayne is a lawyer, or because they go to a lawyer, that a lawyer knows everything. They have lots of lawyers who don't know much about immigration matters. Now, let me make this point clear. I am not a lawyer as yet, but I've done my 1+ year of immigration law, and that is how I've acquired my advanced certificate in immigration law. But I speak with a lot of lawyers, and there are lots of lawyers who don't practice immigration law. And therefore, if they don't practice, if they haven't studied immigration law, then it is obvious that they wouldn't know much about immigration laws. So you may go to a lawyer, and a lawyer might just say, oh, let me do the application, let them do the application, and then they mess up. And then you go to another lawyer and they mess up. What we do here is we fix. When they mess up, we fix it. We fix the problems. Now, let me give an example of when I say we fix the problems. Derived beneficiaries and all these different things. There was a case, an asylum case, and I'm not sure if the individual is watching, but the individual called and was panicking about an asylum that they filed, and they were rejected. They went to all the fancy lawyers in Manhattan, and they were rejected. They were rejected. And the person called me panicking. After they went to all the fancy lawyers, they now call the immigration mechanic. And so I asked the person one question. Okay, you have a murder conviction in Guyana. All of the lawyers said, impossible. You cannot get your application approved, your asylum application, because you have a conviction in Guyana. Now that may be true based on the law, but not because a door is shut for you or anybody in the audience here I'm talking about. It doesn't mean it's the end for you. What I do is I try to loosen up every nuts and bolts, every area, to see if there is a possibility, legally a possibility, for any individual who have immigration problems. And so with that asylum seeker, I said, wait a minute. Okay, so you have a conviction in Guyana. All of these fancy lawyers are telling you, no, you can't. No, you can't. That's it. They've denied your application. But of course, you got a period of time that you can appeal. So I said, I'm familiar with your case. Did you say to the lawyers that such and such an area that they can approach this matter as a result of how they got a confession from you, where the prosecution left the case and so forth? And what happened? The individual paused for a moment and said, you know what? I can get the deposition. And in the deposition, it stated the obvious, that the individual was coerced into making a confession statement, and witnesses contradicted themselves and whatever. And that individual within 1 month, I'm not sure if that person's watching, but within 1 month called to say, with tears, big men cry. As one of them, Puju Banton said, who said big man don't cry? Well, big men do cry. That person, and I'm not making fun of that person, in tears called and said that his asylum application was approved after he said to his lawyer, based on the suggestion I gave him, that they should take this route. And I'm not saying that just to put a little chip on my shoulder. Maybe sometimes I should, but to say that I spent time with people's cases. If anybody calls me with a case, I spend time with the case. I may take a file, as I have a file here now, I may put it aside. I say, I need some more evidence. I need to send in meat to these people. I don't want to send in a skinny application. I need to send meat in. And so that's how I handle the cases, all of the cases. It doesn't matter whether you pay all or you don't pay all or you didn't pay. Well, sorry, I take that one back. But every case is treated the same way. I love to take my time with people's cases. When
Mark,
that's when you.
Mark, I have this one that I think it's important that you answer, because for some reason I think that this application is still alive. Simone Greaves, she's saying, well, now her mom has passed away, and the last lawyer said the paperwork died with her mom, and it has to be refiled, and that will be more money. I don't believe so.
All right,
but please.
Here's my question with Simone Greaves. Not because the petitioner dies means that the petition dies also. It doesn't mean that. You can revive the petition by having someone take the spot of that petitioner, someone who is connected family-wise to the beneficiary. So a lot of people believe that when the petitioner dies, as in this case, Simone Greaves, mom passed, it doesn't mean that the petition has died. You can resurrect the petition by having a substitute petitioner. In this case, maybe Simone, maybe some other family member who is connected or who can file for this young lady. She's now 40. If she has a child while in the US and that child is over 21, that child can now file for her. But again, not because of petitioner. I saw Guyana Elias, we talking about thing, and she said Freddie crying breakdown. Right? So not because a petitioner dies mean that that's the end of the petition. It's not. And a lot of people don't know as well, you can even file for your stepchildren. So if Guyana Elias get lucky and marry somebody, she may be married, but and that person has children, she now officially becomes the stepmother. And so she can file for her stepchildren, but they have to have been married before the child turns 18. And once they get married before the child turns 18, then they're officially and legally the step parents, and she can file for her stepchildren. So there's a lot of things within the immigration law that some people don't really understand, and that is what we do here at Benchop Consultancy. We walk them through the process. We want them to be patient, and then there will be success stories. That's how we treat individuals. Don't rush the brush. Don't call up every minute. Wait there. Calm down. I'm not saying that there are people who do that, but of course, there are some people who feel that it should be done right away, and it takes time. And once an application is as for example, this particular application. Once an application leaves my office, once it leaves my office, guess what? It is completely out of my hands. I don't know when they're going to be ready for you. I can only hope for the best. That is why I do my best. I don't know when they're going to be ready for you. And so one or two people may call, oh, I'm hearing from them yet. I'm hearing from them. I can't do anything. Whether you're not hearing, I can't do anything. Just be patient. That is all. Just like Wayne Caesar is patient right now. Took time out. We planned to do this for half hour. Look, we gone over an hour. Just be patient, guys. Be patient. And that is why, again, I'm here as the immigration mechanic. I try to fix your situation. Roxanne Best is saying she loves that about me. I don't want to be conceited, but thanks for loving something about me, Roxanne. Wayne, anything else before we go on we way?
Yeah, well, first I just want to apologize to Simone. I thought she was speaking of her mom, but she's speaking of her friend's mom.
Okay, okay. Me too, I thought so. So my apologies.
Yeah. Simone, my apologies, okay? Yeah. Anything else? No, Mark, look, I would just encourage everyone who have immigration matters outstanding to try and get those taken care of before
let me quickly answer this question, Wayne, as we prepare to go. Lady S26 is saying, for the diversity visa, there's no
Mark, I think you're muted.
No, I'm not. Am I muted, guys? Can you guys hear me? Yeah, just let us know as we prepare to wrap up. With the diversity visa, Letty is saying here that, can you guys hear me? Yeah, so for the diversity visa, somebody said, no, I can hear you. Somebody said, yes, I can hear you. Somebody said, no, I can't. So for the diversity visa, Letty is asking here, for the diversity visa, there is no option for someone who has a college education, but there is a university, high school diploma. Yeah, once it says, I believe, high school and up, I think the.
Are you guys able to hear Mark?
Yeah, I think Wayne is having some slight problems there, but it doesn't matter. Once you have a high school diploma, that is just the requirement. If they ask for anything else, then you can put that as well. But the process is very, very, simple, and you guys can do it. If you have any question, any concerns about if you want to file for an adjustment of status, whatever it is, when people say no, we find a way to fix your immigration problem. That is what we do right here at Ben Shop Immigration. And sometimes be patient, guys. Like one lady said to some relative of hers, "Oh, I call Ben Shop. And then Ben Shop always busy." No, I'm not always busy. I try to take my time with your case. All of you, people are treated equally, so that the proper information can go into the system. And if I need some more evidence, you got to present the evidence. I want all of you to win. I want all of you to be successful. That is why I take my time with all of your applications.
Mark, when is the best time to call?
People do call me like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock. The best time is always a reasonable time. And I'm always here to work with you. There are people who say, hey, is there a consultation? People call and I give them advice. It's up to them to, or I may tell them what the law says, and it's up to them. So I don't tell them they got to pay for consultation and all these things. And I'm here to work with people. We're all here to work together. And that's what, if you have a problem, don't want it to be fixed, immigration, I'm here to do just that. And you can give me a call, 917-714-1082. That's 917-714-1082. And I see Wayne put it up there, 917-714-1082. You need to get your applications going, whether it's I-130, whether it's adjustment of status, or whether it's your citizenship. Go ahead, file for your citizenship. You call me and we work together, because you win, we win. That is what it's about.
You know what? I have one more thing I wanted to ask you quick, because I know that the application fee, just the fee for the citizenship, has went up quite a bit. Do you have on hand how much the price of that is now, or do you have a ballpark?
Yeah, it jumped. It jumped as of April 1st. It's now $760 for the application fees. $760. That is what it is.
Yeah.
$760.
Back in the day, it used to be $50, man.
Yeah, that's back in the days, but it's $760. You guys can get the ball rolling. I'm here for you, and get it out. And if you apply now for your citizenship, even if you are married and you got your green card for going on 3 years, you can apply now for the citizenship as well. So thank you, Wayne. I appreciate your time. Somebody said only Guyana dollars. Well, okay, Roxanne. Any other question, Wayne, or?
No, Mark, like I was saying, I had a little connection issue, so I don't know if the viewers and listeners would have heard me. But as I was saying before, to try to get all your immigration matters, taken care of to the extent, especially if you're in the United States of America. You want to get this done before the elections.
Exactly. So folks would want to ensure that they get this stuff going, and feel free to call, and we have that discussion with individuals. We're here to work with you guys, and don't be afraid. We're here to fix your immigration problem as best as we can. And I like to say that I'm the immigration mechanic. All right, so thank you all so much. And for those of you who have gotten your citizenship through our office, congratulations to you. Those of you who have gotten your green card, some of you may be listening. Those of you who are in the process of getting that as well, just be patient, because it's out of our hands, but you will get the positive news very, very soon, because it is a ticklish situation for people, knowing that they have an application that's in the system and they're just not getting a word as yet. Just be patient. You guys will get that word, and you will get that positive word from the USCIS.
Mark, we also have to keep in mind that the USCIS is dealing with some volume now also, because there's a lot of people trying to get, things fixed and things.
Yeah. And they're working well. In fact, I just missed a 2:00 meeting with some USCIS folks online. So I just missed that meeting. So it is a case where you have an immigration issue. We will help you as best as we can, and we'll fix it. When people say no, it can be fixed, we find a way to fix it right here at Benchop Consultancy. Thank you so much, Wayne, and I'm out of here. Just half hour turned into hour and a half.
It works.
Yeah. So
thank you, listeners and viewers. Thank you.
Let's go back to New Amsterdam and see the cash grant and the bribing people for vote and all sorts of things, the PPP. We can touch on that later tonight on 107.1 FM.
Yes. See you, Mark. Good day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.